spiritually inferior, physically inferior. Stop being afraid. Be courageous, be bold. Fight. Just like Donald Trump said, fight. Why don't we just fight back?
You are watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Welcome to Technocracy News with Patrick Wood. I'm your co-host, Logan House. Today we're going to be going over Real ID. Ron Paul gets authoritarianism, misses technocracy. Then we will be going over the technocracy's necessary requirements. And we have a few more articles to get to when we get going here. Patrick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We need to talk about this because this is a big thing. The Real ID. This has been sneaking up on us all these years since 2005 when it first was introduced, and it said, "Oh, the states can take care of that. You know, they can make their own voluntary system, et cetera, et cetera." And everybody, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll pass on that." And so here it is, 20 years later. It's been passed into law several years ago, but is taking effect now. So the idea was that all the states could implement this with their driver's license. This is kind of a backdoor approach to a national ID, right? Because every state has a driver's license, and at this point, anybody can get one. Apparently, in most cases, you don't even have to be a citizen. You can get an ID, a real ID. It'll get you on an airplane, for instance. It doesn't do anything for speeding tickets, for sure. But this is in lieu of you having a passport to travel, and this is what is forcing the issue right now. And unfortunately, our new DHS director Noam has just decided, well, we're going to enforce this now.
Yeah,
this is a purely technocratic initiative from the get-go, and so this article, in any case, this Ron Paul is rightly calling the shots here. It really is setting us up for authoritarianism. It really is, but he doesn't understand technocracy. Would that he did. He would be screaming it from the rooftops at this point, because this is so much larger than just real ID and just about identification of you. Everything that technocracy proposed in the first place. We're going to look at this article that I wrote some time ago about the necessary requirements of technocracy. They were crowing about this back in the 1930s. They had to have some way to identify everybody in society so they could attach all the information about those people to a master file that can then be manipulated electronically to make decisions on classes of people, individual people, etc. And this has come full circle now.
Yeah.
This is obvious at this point.
And this is, the Real ID is going to make it a lot easier to transition into a digital ID in the future, which then they can tie in. Go ahead.
Yeah, this already does that. We don't need to do anything further than this at this point, because all of the biometric data is already embedded in the system with your card. That was the requirement to get the ID in the first place. First, a driver's license.
Uh-huh.
You're supposed to give two pieces of information that say where you live, number one, And you have to have either fingerprints or your face scanned. Number two, some states are doing iris as well. So this is your illegal identity as well as your official, like your number.
Mm-hmm.
And everything at this point is they made sure that all the states had the uniform standards in place to make this whole thing work. So every state, whenever you see the star, I'm going to cover my license here. Whenever you see this star up here on your license, that means you have a real ID. And you are validated in the system at this point, because you've provided that type of identification to prove that you're really you, and they want to know where you live as well. That's an important part of this whole thing. They have to find you, right?
Yeah.
So this is a backdoor approach to this. The feds could have come out in the beginning and said, well, we're just going to have a national ID, and here you go. We'll tie it to your social security number or something. We'll extend that number or whatever. We'll give you an ID, but that's not sufficient at this point because
they basically nationalized the state IDs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, the federal system is so sloppy at this point. How many people are getting, for instance, Social Security benefits that don't really have the right to a Social Security number? How many people are using false Social Security numbers to get benefits from the government? They don't know. They have no clue on. Well, they do in some cases, obviously, but there's so much fraud and so much misidentification that is basically useless for a national system. But they've shoved it through the states, where the states have to go out and find out, well, where does this guy live? Okay, you can't get an Arizona license, for instance, unless you show them 2 pieces of mail that has your house address on it. And when they take your picture, it's already being scanned at that point and entered into your biometric information. In some cases, you'll get fingerprints included as well. And some states are including like iris identification. So what the states are doing, the feds could never do in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
They could not. I don't think they ever could have done it. People would have rebelled. Imagine the feds saying everybody needs in America that everybody needs to submit within 30 days to an iris scan, and you need to prove where you live. How would that fly?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it would not. There'd be a national rebellion at that point. But they took the backdoor approach and let the states do it, and here we are. All of a sudden, everybody. Well, at least I think 5 years ago when this law was passed, they said, "Well, we're gonna do it, but it's going to take 5 years to get everybody in line." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, get all the states time to adapt to this. Well, guess what? They've all done it now.
Yep.
This is the point.
And the cutoff is supposedly coming up here in like a week, or you won't be able to fly without one, supposedly, unless you have a passport.
Exactly right. And of course, a passport IDs you as well. You have to have identification. You can't get a passport just because you say you're somebody.
Yeah.
You have to prove it, right? So it becomes like a legal identity for you. And there's no other passport for you in the world other than the one you hold in your hand. It's just the same thing as the real ID.
Yeah.
So I know. So at this point, the mechanism of technocracy is closing around us. That's the point.
And And what you're basing that off of is the necessary requirements. And I believe you're pointing, what you're going to go to is number 5, correct?
Exactly. Well, number 4 as well.
Number 4?
Well, okay, there were only 7 requirements listed to make technocracy work in the 1930s. This was written in 1933. Number 4, provide a specific registration of the type, kind, etc. of all goods and services where produced and where used. Okay,
Yeah.
You have to have you don't know where it's being used. Then you have number 5, provide specific registration of the consumption of each individual, plus a record and description of the individual. Give me a break. This has been on the books ever since 1934. This is an absolute requirement for implementing technocracy. And why people can't get this at this point, I just can't understand. I really don't understand how people cannot put the dots together here. This is going to be the final thing that they need to deal with. And globally, we know that there's a global initiative to have a global ID. Mm-hmm. But as far as we're concerned, in America, all 350 million people in our country are going to be flying and doing whatever with these state-issued licenses, all of which have the star now. And if you don't have that, you're not going to fly. But that's not all. You won't when it rolls over to, for instance, other public transportation, like getting on a train, a bus, whatever. If you don't have that star, you're not going to travel at all.
Yeah, I mean, eventually they'll probably phase out normal IDs altogether, and anything that you would need an ID for, that you would need the star for.
Well, exactly. And think about if you want to rent a car, for instance.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have the star, we don't know who you are.
I mean, if they can limit it, if they can stop you from flying, then they can stop you from doing just about anything. You know. You're
right. You're right. And so now roll over on top of that the business of the vaccine passport. I know we're on a break right now. Let's go to the break and then we'll come back.
Yep, we'll be right back here in just a moment.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisaw collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
Welcome back from the break. Patrick, you want to pick up where you left off, talking about Real ID and where you were at?
Absolutely. This will give them, the feds now, this will give them the ability to take any health information that they want to associate with your real ID, your star-based driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
All your health information could potentially be attached to this, and this has already been being done in several states, for instance, where you can check a box on your form to get your license if you want to donate your organs, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's one entry immediately. And well, how do they know at that point? Well, if you die in another state, or you just die anywhere, I guess, and they don't have your real ID, driver's license on the spot, when they key that information in, the police do or the coroner does, all of a sudden that checkbox shows up in the other records as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they know, oh, we're going to we're going to take your organs out right now. Thank you very much, whatever, and. Why not then like a vaccine passport? And you don't have your vaccinations to go to a certain state or another country or whatever like that. Oh, you can't fly there.
Yeah, they can basically tag anything to these real IDs. Correct?
Anything.
If you're a gun owner, if you belong to a pro-gun or a church, I mean, anything they want to tie to it.
Exactly. So you can't open a bank account without a driver's license today, for instance, right? They take a photograph of it, and they're capturing everything on it, and they have access to the information attached at the DMV to verify your address, for instance, right, and other information about you. So. They know exactly what kind of car you have as well, because that's registered with a. It's you drive a gas hog.
Yeah.
Well, that's not acceptable. There's no end to this. But once they have one hook into society to have one thing to hook onto, then everything can be attached to that particular ID, and this is exactly what's going to happen at this point.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. I've been flying in the last few months. You go to the airport. This was in several airports, and they have a camera now at every station when you check in through the line. You go through the line and you through the TSA line. Mm-hmm. They have cameras now on every station where they want you to take your picture for scanning your face, right? Well, I've always opted out on that. I said, well, I just don't want to do that. Thank you very much. And they, oh, no problem, sir. And they don't do it. So they say, well, it's voluntary. However, other people in the head of me, they just blindly go in, oh, you want me to take my picture? Oh, and they just smile and, oh, that's a wonderful thing. They don't understand what's going on here, but this has always been voluntary. Okay, that's my point. So far, it's been voluntary, and anybody who has flown understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this is going to be mandatory for your picture to be taken every time you get on a flight to prove who you are.
Because it will verify it with your real ID because you took a picture back when you got that. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly so. Exactly so. So, people say, well, if you don't have anything to hide, what's the problem? Well, I'm sorry. This is an egregious violations of rights all over the place. We don't want these people to have all this information on us so that they can manipulate that data and manipulate us as well. This is not acceptable in a free society.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, we know that we're heading into a dark period of history where freedom is basically going to be lost.
Yeah.
This is going to exacerbate the whole thing at this point, and unfortunately, is being done at the hands of a conservative administration.
Yeah, exactly. And you may not have anything to hide now, but when they're not letting you on planes or go places without a vaccine, then you're going to have something to hide. You know?
You bet. It's really
so
just crazy. So all that said, you're probably going to be forced to have the star on your driver's license.
Yeah, there's not really much getting around it, really.
You can't stop it at this point. You can say, well, I'm not going to do that. Give me another one. And I'm never going to fly again. I'm never going to travel. I'm not going to go out of my city. Maybe I won't go out to my city, say 15 minutes or so. Oh, now you're in a 15-minute city. Oh, no problem. You can stay right there in your little city. And we don't worry about you now because we know where you are. You can't get out. Exactly, right? So they're going to get you either way. You can either hunker down and say, I'm not going to do it and never travel again, or you're going to stay on the travel list at least. This almost is like a de facto no-fly list. Universal no-fly list at this point, because if you don't have a star, you can't get on an airplane.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're terrorist.
And that's just the start of it. I mean, it's going to go down. I think it'll eventually go down to driving. I mean, you won't go to you won't get a normal ID, even if you ask for it.
Exactly. When you buy a car today, you have to give them your driver's license. You can't even take a test drive in a car at an auto dealership without giving your driver's license to them.
Yeah.
That's the point. You can't. So you won't get to first base without that identification.
Yep. Yet they're pushing for no voter ID.
I know. Yeah, this is no problem there.
Well, you have a video you wanted to show. Do you want to?
I do. I want people to listen to this. This is a documentary that's about to be released. You'll see. If anybody knows my voice, you're probably going to hear my voice in this because I sat for the interview on this thing. And at the very end of this, however, I want people to pay attention. This is a movie trailer. I want you to pay attention to the last statement. Roll it. You'll see.
The lust to control other human beings is a story as old as time. There's a very strong drift in the direction of globalization, of the ultimate centralization of control in the hands of unelected officials at supranational organizations.
They want all of the resources of the world in their pocket.
The bigger picture is that an attempt is underway now to collapse liberal democracy and replace it with global technocracy.
This is a coup. They're saying we can control with rules. We don't need currency anymore.
It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
The potential for social control is gigantic and potentially irreversible.
They plan to commandeer land, reduce farming, and radically change the food we eat, transform the supply of electricity, and then dictate how we use it, and replace currency with a system of credits.
All three strategies are built on the premise of a climate crisis caused by carbon dioxide.
I do not think there's a climate crisis, and I base that on all the evidence and the climate data sets that we build to answer questions just like that. The government is very clear that they want a catastrophic story.
There is no single science paper that proves conclusively that humans control all or most of the global climate.
Europe's mad dash towards net zero is effectively economic suicide. politicians are purposely impoverishing ordinary people, purposely deindustrializing Europe.
It's just tremendous amount of damage in the name of saving the planet. It does make you ask, what is it we're actually saving if we're paving it over?
I think what we're dealing with here is actually a global war on agriculture.
When you look at how many farms are selling up, we're walking into food shortages.
If I can switch everybody from real food to pharma food, then 100% of the agriculture industry can go through my publicly traded stocks, and I have complete control.
This is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. It's a blueprint. It is the action plan.
All life on Earth is going to be radically changed.
Everything will be monitored. The environmental consequences of every human action.
The general population cannot fathom the psychopathy of the vision that they're facing.
Once the digital ID is in place, it's game over for humanity.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
At the very end of this, the digital ID was going to bring it all together.
Yep.
This is where we are today.
Wow. And when does that come out?
I'm hoping within a month. We'll see. I mean, these things are uncertain, I'm sure, but I think they're planning within a month.
Good. Well, definitely.
It's going to be about technocracy, by the way. Yeah. So I'm hoping that this is produced in England, I believe. So it's going to be not American. Let's put it that way. That's a good thing. Right.
Well, we'll be back next week. Well, exactly. I won't be back next week, but you'll be back next week because I'll be in DC. But
exactly.
You'll be back next week. Some new shows.
Exactly, and I'm hoping that I will be able to have Jesse Smith come into the studio with us.
Good.
So,
awesome. Well, we'll be back next week. Until then, take care.
God bless.
July 6, 2005. This is Tom Harper. Man figures plankton stopped his rare cancer. We got more of a response from our viewers than anything else you and I have ever discussed.
Tom Harper, 20 years ago, he had mesothelioma, deadly lung cancer, was given weeks to live, and he just intuitively started to eat the phytoplankton out of his fish tanks because he fed the phytoplankton to his shellfish. He was a shellfish farmer. And when he went in for the surgery, the surgeon came out of the operating room and told his family, I have not ever seen anything like it. The cancer is benign, and Tom Harper lived for years. He retired in Hawaii. We're not making any claim.
Here he is in his own words.
Started on a daily routine of just taking a bit of paste, putting it in my mouth, and wash it down with a drink of water. Within about 10 to 15 days, here I am, less pain in my back. I knew that something was going on, so I just kept eating half a teaspoon of this paste a day. I was booked to go for surgery in Victoria where they were going to do what they call a talc treatment. They went in there to have a look, saw something they'd never seen before, took 11 sites, sent them away for biopsy. I got the news back. Everything was benign. They just did not know what to make of it. Everything was absolutely clean. And I've tried dieting all my life because I'm a diabetic. If it's a coincidence or not, I don't know. My blood sugar started dropping. My weight started falling off. Here I am, no longer requiring insulin, and I was taking 88 units a day of insulin. I can eat just about what I want in moderation, and I have no elevated sugar levels, and I feel fabulous.
People, you hear the word cancer, and they want you to be instilled with fear. Cancer is nothing but a profound failure of the immune system. And what happened with Tom Harper is the phytoplankton is microscopic. It's God's microscopic food. And the Gadatiana is the most nutritionally comprehensive strain phytoplankton in the world. David Hunter studied phytoplankton for 20 years because he worked for Tom Harper and he was there in person and witnessed Tom's recovery. It's about getting pure nutrition inside your cells. And what happens, your body balances again or goes back to homeostasis. And when your body is pH balanced or in homeostasis, disease can't grow. It is literally microscopic, pure single-cell plant food with protein and omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids, with amino acids and vitamins and minerals. 1 scoop a day. There's 90 billion plant cells in here just for everyday nutrition and energy and, cognitive support, because this is God's pure nutrition.
Go to melissahousegpa.com today. Discover the science and learn more about the wonderful benefits of Gaditana phytoplankton. That's melissahousegpa.com. melissahousegpa.com.
And welcome to the Worldview 2 Washington Report for today, April 28th, 2025. Glad you are with us. Joining me, of course, is our co-host, Jim Paff. Jim is in Indiana, but he'll be returning soon to Washington, D.C., and we're leaving, of course, Friday. Headed for the nation's capital, we have passes to be up on Capitol Hill to set up, to interview members of the House and the Senate. We have White House press passes for the week. We have a lot of great interviews set up. And again, we need your support to make it happen, because we're going to be bringing this all to you for free as a part of our broadcast programming, news, information, education, and sometimes ministry programming as well, right? We need your support. Please consider going now to worldviewfoundation.com. Help us bring in the necessary funds to not only cover our normal monthly requirements, but also the special project we're doing requires extra funds. So please dig deep this month if you can and help us with that as we leave this Friday. Be reporting to you from our nation's capital. Worldview, we've been working on this for months behind the scenes, by the way, getting all the passes that are required, all the Secret Service background checks, paying the Park Service, the different permits for filming at historical sites. It's going to be great fun, and we look forward to putting it together, bringing you some amazing programming through the spring and summer when we get back and get it all post-edited. Some of it we'll be doing and bringing to you right out of the chute. I mean, some of it will broadcast live from there. Some of it we'll be filming and popping it out to you as well. So you're going to be a part of it, and you make it possible when you go to worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Joining me now is Jim Paff. Jim, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us. So when do you head back to D.C., my friend?
Well, driving back on the weekend, so you'll beat me a little bit, but I'll be there shortly thereafter.
All right, well, we need to make sure that we get together, maybe do this show live in person in D.C.
I think that would be great, and I'd be glad to do it.
All right, let's plan on that. We'll get with you off camera and get that set up and do the Worldview 2 Washington Report live on location. You and I will meet, I think, for the first time in person.
Yeah. True. We know it. We have so many mutual friends. It's just amazing. We haven't been face to face, but I look forward to doing that.
Well, and here's hoping you're not like 6'5", right?
Yeah, no.
Okay, good. I didn't want to stand next to him for a whole show if he's 6'5", Logan.
No, but yeah, I was laughing. I'm 6'4", so sorry.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Logan, will you bring a box for me, please? I was thinking about that earlier today. How tall is Ron Johnson? I got to interview with him. Can we sit down?
We're the same height, if I recall. I don't know what his exact height are, but I think we're about the same.
What did your mothers feed you boys?
Jeans.
Can we sit down for these interviews, Logan? I mean, I'm just going to remind you, not that it really matters, but go look up your most famous Hollywood movie stars. Shockingly, they're all mid-sized. I'm not going to use the word short, okay? They're mid-sized. I've looked them up, trying to feel better about my 5'6", and I'm shocked at how many of the biggest stars in Hollywood are my height are shorter than me. So I'm thinking, all right.
I guarantee you most of America thinks Tom Cruise is about 6 foot tall.
Of course they do.
He ain't nowhere near it.
No, he's about my height. And Kevin Hart, not that I recommend Kevin. I think Kevin's shorter than I am. A ton of them are. The guy that was on Danny DeVito. Oh, right. Really? Do we have to go there, Logan? Danny DeVito? Come on. Really? Seriously. We all know that. I'd be a giant over Danny DeVito. How about, how tall is Kevin Hart, Logan? And how about Ben Stiller, his dad?
Ben Stiller.
How tall is he? Stiller, how tall is he? He's about my height. There's a bunch
Yeah, I'd have to think he's in the 5'8" range, actually.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of them that are 5'7".
Yeah.
How tall is Tom Cruise, Logan? There's a ton of them. I know we're wasting
I think he's 5'7". He might be.
We're wasting a lot of airtime on this, I know. But I'm just trying to figure. You know why I figured out a lot of those guys went into media like me, and those guys went into media, i.e. Hollywood, because the camera, you can't really tell if you shoot it right. You can't tell how tall they are if you shoot it correctly. Number one, but number two, most of them were not on the sports field. Okay, so because they weren't 6 foot or higher and playing sports, they went into acting. They went into theater. They went into the plays. That's also where the girls were. So maybe that's where they went. I don't know. Maybe some of that's where the guys were for them, but I won't go there. But Logan laughed at that. But that's a lot of them couldn't do sports, so they went to theater.
Listen, I grew up in Indianapolis. I am a huge racing fan. And there are many times I regret being 6'4" because those guys are short too. Great race car drivers jockeys are very short.
And the jockeys on the horses.
And jockeys on horses,
I was watching a documentary the other night on the guys that were jockeys, and man alive, I'd be a giant next to them. But some of these guys are really wealthy, those jockeys. I'm thinking, you know what? These guys took their shortness and turned it into big, big bucks. So, there you go. All right, let's get back on track. But Logan, seriously, we got to sit down for these interviews or bring me a box, all right?
Yes.
Good grief. What, Logan? Yeah, I have my own choir stool. When I was in high school, I was in the adult choir, and so one of the men in the choir made me a stool for me to stand on. So every Sunday morning when the choir would walk in, I'd pop up on my stools because I was, So he engraved it with my name and everything with a router, and I still have it. It's in my office. So my kids were like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's my choir stool."
Well, as we comment, you and I, on politics quite a bit, and having worked in and around it, I judge the character of the person. It's not bad being 6'4" and maybe intimidating somebody when I'm on Capitol Hill or something, but really the real intimidation is the character of the person. And we got people of every height that have no character at all, and so.
Yeah. How tall is Andy Woods, Logan? 6'8". 6'10"? It's weird when he and I together. It's so awkward for me.
There are only two people in my life I went like this when I was standing up to talk to him. And that was Kent Benson, the former IU basketball player, who's a friend of my wife and me, and Rick Smits, the former center of the Indiana Pacers, who years back when I sold cars, he was a client of mine. Those are the only two people I've ever done that with.
Wow. And then there's a guy that's got a ministry, used to be an NBA basketball player, Capitol Hill Ministries. What's his name?
I'm forgetting his name, and I've met him, and I know what you're talking about.
Well, I had dinner with him one night at CMP, and thankfully we were sitting down. We were all sitting down. But he's a former NBA player, has Capitol Hill Ministries. Look it up, Logan, please. Capitol Hill Ministries. What is his name? But yeah, he's a former NBA player. But like I said, it was good to have dinner with him, but we were sitting down the whole time. So there you go.
Well, I'm the same height as Steve Alford, former Indiana University basketball player who played in the NBA. We're the same height. We were in the same class, too. So who knows? Maybe I missed out.
All right. Well, we're going to be broadcasting together, it sounds like, in D.C., not this week, but the next week. So that'll be great. We'll look forward to doing that. All right. Let's go to, what's his name? Ralph Drollinger? Something like that? Yeah, I remember Ralph now you say it. Yeah. Hey, I know we're 10 minutes in, we're still talking about Bill's height. Well, here's a guy we can talk about his girth, not his height. The governor of Illinois. I'm going to play this on Brandon. I like that one. I'm going to play this on Brandon House Live tonight, but you were just in Illinois. Listen to what this guy's come out and said.
Upon which history turns. Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now.
These people, they're still going on the LGBTQ thing. They're still going on the full Marxism thing. They're loving on the Islamist. They're calling for violence and disruption, and yet these people think this is how you win elections. I'm very concerned about the midterms, and I'm going to have on my show tonight Dan Eastman, because there's an article written by Jerome Corsi today over at the American Thinker that, again, seems to prove that there's an algorithm running in Wisconsin, and they show the reason why they believe in this last election there was an algorithm running, and therefore it's probably running in other states. But I think people need to understand the chances of There is no guarantee that these guys don't win the House and or the Senate from hook or crook in this next election.
That's absolutely true, partly because of things like that, which still concern us. I think we need to absolutely ban computer voting machines, touchscreen machines. We can do optical scan machines because we can always validate the paper, but you forget the touchscreens. But the other thing that's going on here is Republicans are really bad at running these midterm campaigns because they really are not good at winning elections. They win elections on coattails typically, dynamics happening in the country in general, usually around presidential elections, but other factors too. Even in the midterms when they win, there's usually some other factor. Republicans were taking all